Hello guys, welcome back to another gun review, and the gun we're looking at today, the Dream-Tac Compact Tactical, is something that I'm very excited about. I've done some hunting with this gun over the past few weeks and it's awesome. So I'm really excited to talk about this gun. Now, air guns have changed quite a lot over the past few years. The way that people think about air guns have changed a lot over the past few years. A few years ago, if you wanted to buy a 22 caliber PCP air gun, you basically went two paths. You either went for like a sub 12 foot-pound gun, and that could either be because of power restrictions or because you need something with a lot of shots, or you went with something between 29 to 33 foot-pounds in 22 caliber, because that was the only kind of area or space where you could get optimum accuracy and optimum trajectory without things getting out of hand. But with the evolution of air guns, you know, being able to shoot very heavy pellets or being able to shoot slugs, you found people's mindset shifting where they're going one of either two ways. With new technology like barrel systems that can be switched out, more efficient valving, adjustable rigs, and modular systems like this one, we're seeing a shift where people are wanting to buy purpose-built setups for specific tasks. Like, for example, a 22 caliber impact set up to shoot 34 grain slugs at 980 feet per second with a BC of 0.13 for like crazy long range shooting. Or on the other end of the spectrum, something like the Edgun Leshy or the Streamline, which are made specifically for close quarters pest control. It's suddenly no longer about trying to find the best all-round gun. It's now about trying to find the best setup for a specific task. Or can it be both? Let's explore a little bit more. Now, we should really be talking about the entire Dreamline system, because if you buy this gun, you're essentially opening the door to a really modular system where you can just buy a simple conversion kit and turn this gun into anything you like. Field target guns, bullpups, bottles or cylinders, wood or chassis, long or short, you know, the options are all there. And with an externally adjustable regulator, transfer port adjuster, hammer spring adjuster, and the option to change calibers, these guns can be tuned perfectly for whatever you need. So there is no compromise. There's no ways I'm going to have time to look at all the different variants, but I do have a video from earlier this year where I test shoot some of them and give my thoughts. I'll put a link to that below. Our focus today is going to be on the Compact Tactical. I just think it's something special. I think there's a need for more compact guns, and I know I for one have been so focused on like crazy long range shooting, and my gun's kind of been getting heavier and heavier, that it's a real nice relief to be able to pick up something light and short and shoot 16 grain JSBs again. If I could sum up what I like about the Compact Tactical in a few words, it would be form factor. This gun is just really short and light. The folding stock makes a big difference, and you know, obviously the scope and the bipod add weight, but I've gone with a 3 to 15 SWFA first focal plane scope, which is pretty light, which really kind of suits this gun well, and an Atlas bipod, which you can always take off if you don't want to use it. So that's my setup. I think it works really well. The barrel length is probably as short as you can get without becoming too short for the power you need, and from an ergonomics point of view, you're also free to switch out the AR-15 grip and AR-15 buttstock. This particular buttstock is adjustable for length of pull, which does help a lot. The buttstock is also the perfect height, you know, using medium rings on the scope here. If I bring it to my cheek, the scope comes to my eye perfectly. A lot of guns get that wrong, where they put the buttstock attachment here too high or too low. If I had to compare this to any gun, I'd probably say it's in the same category as like an Ataman M2R carbine or maybe an Edgun Leshy, and those guns are both great guns as well. I can't say anything negative about them. In fact, credit has to go to them because they were the first companies to make a compact gun like this. That being said though, I do think the addition of an 18-shot magazine, removable cylinders, externally adjustable reg, and the ability to switch to other configurations is definitely a big deal. So all in all, from a form factor or ergonomics point of view, it's full marks from me. Obviously, the Dreamline being a modular system, it has to be very tunable. If it wasn't, the whole system would fail. and adjustable regulator is a big part of that. If I take the bar pod off here to expose the Picatinny rail, if I look underneath the Picatinny rail, you'll see a little brass hex screw. That's where you adjust the regulator from. So you literally need to take your bar pod off and you can set the reg pressure up or down from there, and that makes a big difference. It's something I can't live without now. A few years ago it wasn't even a thing, but now it's something that you have to have if you want to be able to really fine-tune your gun to get the best performance out of it. In order to get decent power out of the compact barrel, I've put the reg pressure at 150 bar and then set the hammer spring accordingly. Hammer spring adjustment is very easy with the dial, which clicks into place and allows for easy fine-tuning once the reg is set. And of course the transfer port adjuster is there if you decide to switch calibers. The cocking lever on this gun might actually be the smoothest I've ever felt. It's very similar to the Streamline's cocking lever, but the stroke is a little bit longer. What this does is this decreases or eases the cocking effort. The downside to this obviously is that you can't cock as quickly as you can on, let's say, something like the Impact, for example, which has a much shorter stroke. But I think you know what you gain from that is really good smoothness, so I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. It's really awesome. And the trigger is basically the same as the Streamline's trigger, same as the Crown and the Impact's trigger. It's fully adjustable, so you can set the weight, you can set the first stage travel and the second stage. It's not an ultra lightweight match trigger, but then again, this is a hunting gun, so I think out of the box it's right where it should be, and I haven't felt the need to adjust this at all. There is a safety on this gun as well. It feels excellent. It feels very, very nice. I'll probably never use it because, I think the only safe gun is a decocked gun, but it's there if you want it. The magazine on this gun is kind of based on the high capacity side shot magazine that's now on the Impact, but kind of scaled down. In 22 caliber, this holds 18 shots, which is still a lot. Essentially, this front plate comes off and this whole system allows you to load all your pellets very, very quickly, which is, I'd say, a huge upgrade to the older Streamline magazine, for example, and a definite upgrade from the previous generation FX magazines. It's one of the best, I think. I do also like the way that the Picatinny rail is recessed. It kind of allows the magazine to fit in without getting in the way of the scope, and this frees you up to use any height scope rings you want. The one thing that really annoys me about many guns is when they've got really high magazines and you can't put your scope the height you want it. This gun doesn't have that problem. Because the barrel is so short, this gun does bark quite a lot if you don't have a silencer on the end. Obviously it depends on where you set the power, but the way I've got it here, basically maxed out, shooting at 26 foot-pounds out this little barrel, it's probably not quite backyard friendly, and you're probably going to want to put a little silence on the end. I guess the good news there is that it is threaded, so it's a 1/2 inch UNF. You can fit most silencers on it. I've put a little Huggett Belita on mine, which shuts it up a lot while still keeping it short, and if you want it even quieter, you can obviously fit something a little bit longer. FX did actually send me a couple other barrels to try out. They sent me a 500mm pellet barrel, and they sent me an arrow barrel. I haven't had time to test them yet, but I have used those exact barrels on previous FX guns and they work fantastic. I think for me though, I'm probably going to want to keep this short. If I do end up doing something like let's say bench rest shooting, and I end up putting this gun in like an Aeron chassis or a Scandinavian airgun chassis, then I'll probably put the 500mm barrel on, and that'll be perfect for, just being able to get the speed I need out of heavier pellets without having the reg pressure set quite as high. And talking about the arrow barrel, a few years ago I made 2 hunting videos with a Royale arrow, where I went out with Protea cricket player Quinton de Kock and shot both a blessbuck and a bush pig with the arrows with amazing results. And I'd expect this gun to perform pretty similarly, so it is an option, but I see it more as a fun plinking tool. And I say that because the noise of the arrow gun will cause animals to jump the shot and you might end up wounding them. So I wouldn't recommend it as a hunting tool, but it's nice to know the option is there. The Dreamline does use the same barrel housing and barrel system as the Impact and the Crown. So if you own one of these other guns, you can actually share barrels between them. If you do want to shoot slugs, you'll probably need to use very light slugs. You can easily slide in a slug liner and shoot them, but this gun doesn't quite have the same valving that the impact has, for example, they can get a lot more power, so you're going to have to keep it quite light. A nice thing about the way that the cylinder connects on the front here as well, just something to mention, is that the cylinder has its own back valve. And the reason this is nice is you can either keep a spare cylinder or a few spare cylinders if you want in a backpack, which will give you extra air, and these things are very light. Or you can actually fit a bottle on you if you want, those big 480cc bottles. And I think in the future there's a little 300cc bottle coming as well, which would be very nice on this gun. It's nice to know that you've got these options. And again, it's just one of those things that makes your gun even more modular and even more kind of customized. You can use it, set it up to do anything you want. If you want to fill the gun, you can do so via a quick disconnect fitting on the side. It's very easy, and you can check both your fill pressure and your reg pressure on the two built-in gauges, so there's no guesswork. There's a common misconception out there that shorter barrels aren't as accurate, and that's actually not true at all. In fact, shorter barrels can actually be more accurate, reason being that there's less chance for flexing. A shorter barrel is more rigid, and this helps a lot when it comes to harmonics. The reason that short barrels have a reputation for being less accurate is because in order to get the speed you need, often people overpower the guns, and then you've got that turbulence behind the pellet as it leaves the barrel, and that messes everything up. So, having to tune this gun down, you'd get better accuracy, but there's a bit of a trade-off there. You're going to get a loopy trajectory. I personally feel that tuning the gun up, you might sacrifice a bit of accuracy, your groups, or precision, your groups might open up a little bit, but you're going to get the speed that allows you to kind of buck the wind a little bit better and have a flatter trajectory, and I do think it's a worthy trade-off in the end. I know, for example, that I would rather have a gun that shoots 1.5 MOA groups with a 5mm drop at 100 yards than a gun that shoots 1 MOA groups with a 7mm drop. When hunting, anything under 2 MOA is perfectly adequate for hunting at ranges less than 100 yards, and this is not a 150 yard gun by any means. I immediately tuned this gun up when I got it, so I can't tell you what the shot string would look like as it comes from the factory, but here's what it looks like with my settings shooting 16 grain JSB Hades pellets. I got 31 shots at an average of 856 feet per second and an extreme spread of 18 feet per second, which I think is really good. If I compare that, for example, with my Air Arms S410 TDR, which had a longer barrel and a bigger air cylinder, I got about half the usable shots per fill. And that just goes to show how valving and regulators have evolved over the past few years. And of course, if you want more shots, you can upgrade to the 300cc carbon fiber bottle in the future, which will probably double your shot count. For an accuracy test, I took this gun out to 25 and 50 yards, and the good news, it shoots. Alright, so we're at 25 meters. I've just loaded up with 18 JSB Hades pellets. We're going to slide these in here, and I'm just going to take 5-shot group down there, 25 meters, and see what we can do. Oh, beautiful. You shouldn't expect crazy accuracy when shooting with a light, short barrel gun like this, but because of the light free-floating hammer, you shouldn't have much vibration to deal with, and the regulator ensures that the harmonic waves that travel through the gun are consistent with every shot, so your point of impact won't shift as your full pressure changes. At 25 yards, the Dreamline basically put all the pellets through the same hole, so really happy with that. And at 50 or 48, a bit of a weird group. It almost looked like there were two holes there, like the gun couldn't make up its mind where it wanted to shoot, but nevertheless that group is still around half an inch, maybe just over half an inch. For a little gun like this, I'm very happy with that. I didn't bother to go up to 100 yards. I think this is probably a gun you'll probably want to use under 100 yards, but I'm pretty sure it would put a group under an inch or an inch and a half on a good day. What you get from the Dreamline system is a lot more than I've just showed you. But to wrap it up with this model, I'd have to say that if I had to pick up just one gun out of about the 20 guns that I own to shoot pellets, this would be the one. And that's saying quite a lot. There's just something about the form factor that is pure magic, and something about the options that can open up in the future to do all kinds of cool stuff with this gun. It feels so right, and I can see myself throwing this in a backpack regularly and taking it out on pigeon hunts or pest control missions. It's already become a firm favorite of mine, and I'm sure you'll see plenty more of it over the next couple months. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time. If you'd like to see extra content like extended episodes, old uploads that YouTube took down, or early releases of upcoming content, head over to airgun101.com. You'll be able to find many other airgun content creators on the site, and a safe place where we can build a community and help each other out. It's a real practical way of supporting content creators like myself without paying a cent, as the sponsors of the website help contribute towards the running costs of my channel. Alternatively, you can find me on other social media platforms, on my vlog channel, and on Patreon. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you on the next one.